Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Non-Sequitur Nerds. Tonight, it is the end of the year. We're going to be doing our end of the year recap here. I am Tim, like always, joined by Ian. How's it going, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing pretty dang good here. We're at the end of the year. I'm done with work for the end of the year, which isn't really saying much because that just means I have tomorrow off.
Right. And
So
then there's me that's been off for 2 weeks, so I'm
shut up,
not ready to go back.
shut up. Yeah, so things are going pretty good. Just waiting to ring in the new year. Here's hoping to a much better 2022 than 2021.
and
I mean, 2021
2020.
was. Yeah,
It's
2021 was basically like 2020 Part Due or 2020
yeah,
Redux.
yeah.
It's just,
It was a
it's
reboot,
just,
and it still wasn't good.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It was the Fantastic Four of years.
Oh, so that would that make 2020 the most recent Fantastic Four film? Because it was even
Yes,
worse.
yes, yes, yes.
But no, yeah. So we're wrapping up the year here. We're looking forward to 2022. There were some high notes this year. I mean, we're not gonna completely say it was all crap. We had some good stuff. We had some good stuff this year. A lot of good games came out. Especially at the end of this year, we had a lot of fantastic films come out. Um, a lot of fantastic films. A
Films,
lot of great,
TV,
yeah,
movies,
great stuff
games,
all around.
music. I mean, I mean, we complain because that's what we do. I
Even if
mean,
everything was great, we'd still complain. Let's be honest.
that right. That's our shtick. Is we complain. Jeffrey, the coffee's too cold. Um, no, so yeah, no, we had a lot of good stuff, and obviously one of the major things for us this year was we put out this podcast.
Yeah,
I mean, it was yeah, it was at this time around this time last year. Tim and I were hanging out about a week ago, actually, last year.
yeah, actually, yeah,
We were
because you were
yeah,
you
we
were down
were
at Christmas last year.
we were hanging out, and he got a burr up his behind. Was like, "Hey, we should do a podcast." And I went, "All right, cool, let's
So
do a podcast."
so we did.
So we did.
And now we're
So
billionaires. Wait, I think we missed a part.
with yeah, it's kind of like one of those 4chan memes. Get idea, do podcast, question mark profit. We're
We're still in the question mark phase.
Yeah, pretty much. I think we maybe just need to shill more.
Maybe, maybe.
Yeah, yeah,
Commence. That's our 2022 goal is shill more.
correct. I'm going to, and with my billions, I'm going to buy an island and call it Shillmore Island.
I think we have a plan. I think we have a plan.
I think we do too. So we just need to make that happen. So,
Let's do this. Let's
uh,
commence the shilling.
yes, exactly. So yes, we had a pretty good year for the nerds here.
Oh
Obviously,
yeah.
we put out the podcast. We have how many episodes have we done now?
This will be 47 so far.
Right, so 47 episodes. We're available on 7+ platforms. We have not made a cent off of any of this.
That is very
So
true.
again, still trying to figure out some of that stuff. But we've had a lot of fun, along the way, and we
Oh
thank
yeah.
you all for joining us.
Like
So,
always.
yeah. So yeah, recap year. Oh man, we've had a good time of it. Obviously, our patented counter is still going.
Yep. Still going strong at
So we're
48 currently.
so we're getting close. That'll be our 20. That'll be our 2022 at this point. Uh, hail to the
Person.
douche.
Hail to the
Um,
douche.
I think we found our episode title.
There we go. Hail to the douche.
Hail to the douche. Yeah.
Oh.
So, yeah, we put out a lot of content. Obviously, we do a lot of reviews of things. Whoops.
Well,
Sorry about
Ian
that.
died.
Yeah.
Did your
Yes,
little thingy flip down?
yes, it did. I hit my desk too
Phrasing.
hard, and it went boonk.
So you hit your desk too hard
Um,
and your thingy went bloop.
yep, exactly.
Okay, I mean that tracks. That tracks.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, obviously we've done a lot of review episodes. There was a lot of, really good content, like we said, that came out. And obviously, here in December at the end of the year, talking forward thinking, we've got a ton of new content. I
Yeah.
believe Hawkeye just wrapped up.
Hmm?
The Witcher season 2 just released
Hmm?
a couple of weeks ago, last week, I think.
I think so. Yeah, a couple. Yeah, last week or the week before, one of the two.
Right. And of course, yesterday saw the release of the Book of Boba Fett.
Hmm.
So, expect some good
Review coming
things.
forward on that. I'm assuming you've already watched it,
Yes, I did.
as have I.
In point of fact, I've had to watch it. Started and stop watching it a few times because of my children. So I finished it early. I finished episode 1 earlier tonight. So
Like I will say, like I am a little sad that like a lot of the other a lot of the other Disney Plus shows have had one or two have had like 2 episodes for the premiere. This only had
mhm.
one, which I think did Hawkeye only have one, or did that do 2 as well?
I'm not sure. It's a limited series
Yeah.
though,
Yep.
so we're not going to get like the full on, you know,
Like size of the
uh,
Mandalorian episode or seasons.
right,
Yeah.
right.
But
So
I'm still looking forward to it. I mean, Boba Fett was always one of my favorite Star Wars characters. I mean, he had 5 lines in the original trilogy, I think, but
He
he was
appeared.
just
He
so
appeared in
cool,
the
though.
original trilogy. He appeared in the original trilogy. Actually, the Disney Plus has a small 20-minute documentary about this.
Oh,
He appeared in
awesome!
the original trilogy for 6 minutes and 23 seconds and had 5 lines of dialogue.
Nice, nice. I was right with the
That's
five
the
lines.
original. That was the original trilogy.
Yeah,
All three of the original movies. 5 lines and 6 minutes and 23 seconds.
that's all he needed. That's all he needed,
Yeah.
and he immediately
So
became a
anyway,
fan favorite.
exactly. So, I mean, there's more to it. Watch the documentary if you have a chance. It's only
Yeah,
20 minutes long, so it's pretty
not
pretty
too bad
easy
then.
watching. But it kind of gives you some good information about the character. But anyway, we'll talk more about Boba Fett once we get through the series itself. It finishes releasing, so it's coming out episodically,
Yep.
new episode every week type thing. So it's going to take us a little while to get through all of it and do our episode, but. Yeah, we'll definitely
Oh, for
get
sure,
to that point.
for sure.
Probably, maybe we might get something like get to The Witcher since that all came out at one time.
There we go.
That'll probably happen beforehand. And obviously, we've got other things coming out with Spider-Man. No Way Home came out.
Yep.
Tim and I have both seen that.
Yeah, we
We
have.
will have a review and our thoughts coming on that, but we didn't want to jump on the bandwagon because everybody and their mother's
Yeah,
doing Spider-Man videos, so we decided we would rather regale you with just us talking about the year.
they're gonna
So
skip ahead to the Spider-Man episode.
they're probably going to skip ahead to the Spider-Man episode.
That's fine. As long as you
So
listen, we don't care if it's out of order.
correct. So yeah, this the end of this year has seen a lot of really good content, and
Mhm.
then we have the content that was that we've gone through uh, throughout the year. We've seen some meteoric rises to some great franchises. We've
Mhm.
seen some reboots, we've seen some restructures, we've seen the rise and fall of some things. Hashtag Cowboy Bebop. Um,
Matrix. What did you
yeah,
get a
I
chance to watch it?
not yet. I've yeah.
It's on HBO Go. At least give it a watch. I don't think that my initial thoughts is I don't think it's worth us devoting an episode to. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, maybe that winds up going into like another one of our rants and raves
maybe,
episodes.
maybe. But no, I
Yeah.
mean it's we had a lot of good this year. I mean, I know you guys we've had several episodes talking about Fantasy Star, which is still. I mean, they just had their big update come out, which people seem to be pretty happy with. They're actually putting content in the game now beyond just cosmetics. And it seems like Sega is finally starting to listen to their fan base. They had their annual live streams that they do, the NGS headlines, and they pretty much laid it out that we understand most people are not happy with the way the game is. Here's what we're going to do in the short term to try to help you with some of the frustrations you've got in the game. So it seems like they're actually listening. I mean, that's a topic that we've covered a lot throughout this year. Is that game? Um, let's see, what else have we seen game-wise? Final Fantasy had its expansion, which we also did another episode on. People are still not able to get into the game. Now
Mostly
we
Tim
we were
because
yeah, so we were actually talking about this.
he plays on a very full shard.
Yeah, yeah, I do.
Meanwhile, I literally have the game running in the background because I was playing right before this, and
Yep.
I didn't want to log out because I didn't want to have to get in queue again.
We were talking the lowest queue, excuse me, lowest queue I've seen on my server has been a little over 2,000.
Wow.
Well, and like I was able to log on one day, and I was telling Ian this because I'd woke up early for whatever reason, got into the queue and just had my computer running all day, and then by the time I was able to log in, I had an errand to run in like 15 minutes, so I had enough time to like dink around, say hi to people, and then leave. So, um,
Yeah, and meanwhile, when I logged in earlier tonight, the queue, was ticking down for a while, and then I just sent Tim a picture of it
yep,
because I
I
took a
see.
screen cap of it. It got to players in queue 1, and then it sat there for like 5 minutes taunting me, and then it logged me in. So
Nobody wanted to log off at that point.
yes, exactly. Damn you!
Let's see.
Um,
As far as like other gaming stuff that's came out this year, I mean, we had recently Halo Infinite came out, which I know you and I have each been playing a bit. The
I've beat the game at this
I'd
point.
say like I finally got past that boss I was asking you about.
Oh, you did? You
I ended up
did?
cheesing it. I
Okay.
I got him stuck in a place that he couldn't move by pure
Oh,
accident,
okay.
and just sat there just unloading on him, throwing grenades at him. I'd go and grab like something else. Um, so I ended up
Yep.
cheesing it. But the campaign is not multiplayer yet, which I know is typically what Ian and I will play together. We'll touch the multiplayer a little bit, but it's primarily the campaigns. We've always played those together. So I'm looking
Right.
forward to when that update comes out, us actually being able to play the campaign together. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, I mean Halo came out. We've had, I mean it's been a pretty good year. Lots of indie games. Yeah, it's been pretty full gaming wise. So
Yeah, I mean it's been a banner year for gaming. I haven't had an opportunity to play as much as I'd like to. I have to be very selective in my games just due to school and the whole single dad thing. So,
right.
I haven't done as much. And obviously for me, one of the big ones that came out earlier this year was the Mass Effect Legendary Edition,
Hmm.
because that's one of my, if not the all-time favorite game series.
Right.
So, that was a pretty awesome thing for me.
There you go.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it's been a good and bad year for gaming.
Yeah.
There have been some stinkers. Cyberpunk is still trying to play catch up, and it's
Like although it's for a while it was on Steam's most played charts just recently. I think because it was on sale for starters, so people finally got around to picking it up. And I think people are finally starting to realize that it's not as bad as what everybody was making it out to be. I mean, they've came out with a lot of updates, a lot of fixes for the game. Um, but the game we
problem
had,
is just the content is just.
yeah,
I mean, there really been no content patches.
yeah,
I think they did one content release, and you got a jacket and a car or
yep,
something like
they
that.
they did, and they're thinking behind it that they publicly said made a lot of sense. Why add on to something that's broken instead of fixing it first and then adding stuff on? Because if they add more stuff on, that may compound the issues that they're having with the game. Then they'll have to go back and fix even more. Versus if they get the game fixed now and then spend more time on the add-on content. So I mean, it makes sense. But the game as it is now should have been what the game launched as. I would have been, and I think a lot of people can agree, they would have been a lot happier had that game been delayed again. I mean, it's already been delayed a couple years at that point. What's one more? Um, but I really think that they really should have delayed it a bit more. And I mean, I know that there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes of that game. I mean, that's a whole episode unto itself, really. But I mean, it's finally starting to get to where it needs to be. I actually recently booted it back up again, started up a new game file. Just see, all right, do I notice anything different? I mean, so far, I mean, it definitely seems to run a lot smoother. That may be also because when I started playing it was on my old desktop, old laptop, and I have since upgraded this year. So maybe that's part of it. But the game is really pretty with ray tracing, though. Let me tell you.
I mean, it's good that they're moving in a direction, I guess, but they really kind of damage their reputation with that. So, I don't think. CD Projekt Red is going to go anywhere.
No,
I mean, they're going to stay as a company,
for sure, for sure.
but I mean, they have a lot to do to rebuild some of that goodwill that they had.
Yeah, I know a
So,
lot of people when they announced that the multiplayer that was promised for the game when it came out is indefinitely shelved. I know I was pretty bummed out about that because that was one of the big reasons that I got it. Is I'm like, oh, this game would be awesome, and I mean, it's based on a tabletop RPG, so I mean, it's encourages interplayer interaction, and now we're not getting that. I mean,
right.
if they do decide to come out with it, I think that'd be I would be genuinely surprised, but like it's sounding like it's they're canceling that part completely.
Yeah.
At least for
So, I
now. I mean,
mean,
maybe they'll come out with another Cyberpunk and actually have a working game with working multiplayer beyond like a battle royale shooter thing. Like I would not be interested in that at all.
yeah. Yep. Yeah. But, um, otherwise, beyond moving a little bit beyond just gaming, because we don't want to necessarily do the entire recap about this.
Right?
We had we said it talked about it earlier. We had a lot of really good movie releases that came out this year, and some bad movie releases. Again, I mean,
Yeah.
they're and I think we talked about this before. Maybe we talked about this offline. I don't remember, but it's just been a really derisive year as far as like critics and users go. Like
Yeah, we did talk about
everyone
that
and
on that
their
episode.
mother, I think there's a lot of like film critics that I think have lost touch, and I think my brother and I talked about this as well. And
Mm,
a lot of the film critics are kind of that like old school Hollywood. They have this like this hate boner for reboots, remakes.
right.
They want originality from Hollywood, and
Everything
Hollywood's not
neast to be an
doing
award-winning film or it's bad.
right. And
Yeah.
they yeah, and again, they want original ideas. They don't want like reboots and remakes and 30-year-old sequels and that kind of stuff. So they immediately go into it hating on it.
Yeah.
Like they don't even give it a chance. I mean, for what it is. And then you have the users, the moviegoers, the everyday people that go out, and of course we're in the age of the internet, so everyone gets an opinion now.
Yeah, that they do.
Um but the fans are the ones that are really kind of driving things, pulling things back from the brink. I
Right.
mean, look at like the Eternals. Critics hated that movie,
Yeah.
but it's got a decent fan score. I
Yeah.
saw it. I mean, it was long, but I enjoyed it. Um,
Giggity.
we exactly. We saw Ghostbusters a couple
Hmm.
of times in theaters.
Yep.
Again, it was one of those that I think critics eventually bounced back on it,
I
but
think so. Yeah. Like they were.
originally
Yeah.
they were kind of poo-pooing it, and then everybody else saw it. I mean, it had a fantastic Rotten Tomato score, and in point of
Yeah.
fact, I'm going to look it up real quick because I wanted to know again. So uh, uh, let's see if I can find it now. Um, what else did we have this year
Let's see. I mean,
as far as movie
we
goes?
had
Yeah,
those.
yeah. Ghostbusters Afterlife, 62% critic score of 95% user score.
Yeah.
If that goes to show you how derisive that some of this stuff can be.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, I mean, Dune was another one that came out that I kind of forgotten about.
I didn't get to see. I mean,
Um,
we had Mortal Kombat came out, which I mean was an enjoyable film. I mean, it's not going to win any awards by any stretch, but I mean it was a fun movie. Godzilla versus Kong is kind of that same thing. It was you got to watch giant monsters beat the crap out of each other. It's not going to be something that's going to go down in the ages as a great piece of cinema, but was still a fun movie. Um, let's see. I mean, and I kind of touched on this earlier. I mean, we had Matrix come out, which, eh. I know that,
yeah,
their box office revenue has been so poor that they've already said that there are no plans for any future Matrix films right now. I mean, it did like I
yeah.
imagine with the budget they had on that, the amount of money they're making, I would be interested to see the final numbers for the new Matrix just to see how much they actually lost. Because I mean, it's
What's
yeah.
What's interesting to know right now is that or what's interesting is that Matrix Resurrections is sitting actually pretty equal.
Really.
64% critics, 63% audience score. So
You know what? That's about right. Sit on. I mean, it wasn't great. I mean, it was okay. Um,
yeah, I mean
n- n-
that's what I under.
yeah,
I mean that's my understanding of it as well. It's like
not
it
one that I
was.
would watch again. I mean, if it's on, I might watch it, but I'm not gonna seek it out.
You were whelmed.
Yeah, exactly. I was very whelmed by it. But let's see what else. I mean, what else movie wise did we have this year? I mean, of course, Spider-Man. I mean, I think at this point everybody has seen that movie, especially looking at the box office numbers. It was also, and I think it might still be the number one pirated movie for the year right now.
Right.
Which is funny. I was actually reading an article that there was a torrent of the movie that was circulating around that had some uh, cryptocurrency mining software tied to it. So the
Oh
second
Lord.
you would, the second the movie would finish installing, or would finish downloading, it would actually install that in the background. But the way that it did it, Windows thought it was a legitimate system process.
Mm,
So you start watching this movie, and your computer would just start chugging like nobody's business. And at least as of a couple days ago, when I read the article, no antivirus software was able to pick it up
oof.
because it just kind of came out of nowhere.
Right.
Um, but yes, I mean there was that. I mean,
I mean,
good.
we've also got with Free Guy.
Which I need to see that
We
still. I
I do
want to see.
too.
I want to see. It's
Yep.
Ryan Reynolds. I mean,
It's Ryan Reynolds being Ryan Reynolds in a pseudo video game movie, so it really kind of speaks to me.
exactly.
Um, yeah, so there was that. Let's see, what else did we have? Space Jam.
Uh, my kids really enjoyed it. I mean, I mean,
uh,
like, admittedly, like, it had a lot of like fun cameos, especially since they were able to pull from. Warner Brothers was able to pull from like their whole back catalog of animation, movies, everything they'd ever done, and have
right.
it like at least at the very least be a background character in some of the scenes. So I mean that was kind of cool getting to relive some of those classic Warner Brothers moments. Um, Actually, I think the Yakko, Wacko, and Dot I think were actually in a scene if I remember right.
Oh, nice.
So we had that. I
Let's
mean,
see. We
and
also
we had
had
the reboot of that come out this year too. Thinking about as for shows anyway.
yep, yep, for shows that came out. Then we had Black Widow came out earlier
Hmm.
this year.
Yep.
We had Venom, Let There Be Carnage, which came out this year.
Hmm.
What else did we have? Shang Chi.
Oh, Shang Chi came out. Yes, it did, and
Yes, it
came out
did.
came out phenomenally strong.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, that's a fantastic property.
Yeah, like that.
So
That's one I like when they announced that they were doing that. Like Shang Chi, well, same as the Guardians of the Galaxy, was a character that not many people were super familiar with, or even the ones that were super familiar. There wasn't really, at least when they announced it, a whole lot of buzz behind it. But the more they showed of it, I mean, as they put out more trailers, behind the scenes stuff, things like that, you started to get that building, and then the second it hit theaters, that thing just took off. And like
yeah.
I
Well, I
absolutely
mean,
enjoyed it.
yeah, and it was one of those things where it's the Guardians of the Galaxy meme that who
Right.
Shang Chi who
Ooh. Exactly. But now
and
everybody's
he's
like, I want to see Shang-Chi too now. I want to see him team up with, whatever new Avengers team they're going to come up with.
right, exactly. So it's been a pretty banner year as far as
Hmm.
movies go. Especially the stuff that's in our court, the things that we like
Right.
and whatnot. So, yeah, we've had a pretty good year so far. So beyond that though, we did put out a bunch of content. I think I was looking at some of our Spotify stats earlier, over 3,000 minutes of content.
Yeah, I mean, so we have the runtime of Marvel.
Wow.
We love you
Wow.
3000 everybody.
Wow. uh
Wow.
yeah. Wow.
So I mean, and we haven't even
um
talked about you say wow, and I immediately think Owen Wilson. We haven't even talked about like a whole lot of the shows. I mean, we talked about some of them. I mean, we had Hawkeye just wrapped up. We had Book of Boba Fett starting. We had WandaVision this year. Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki. Those are just the Marvel shows.
right.
I'm still sad we didn't get
Yeah,
Owen Wilson to say "Wow." He said "How" in one scene, and you could tell he wanted to say it.
yeah.
How?
Oh. Maybe they'll throw that in as an Easter egg or something like that for
Right.
next season. But yeah, so I mean, there's a bunch of really cool stuff that's out there, and then we had again we had our own content. All the different stuff that we've talked about, ranted about, raved about, nerded out about. Some of our walking down memory lane type
Yep.
things. We talked about things like Cartoon Network and
Hmm?
anime versus cartoons
Our
and
versus episodes, which we did a couple of those.
yes,
Those I think were some of the most fun I had this year doing the show was the versus episodes. Just because none of us came up with like your typical, all right, who'd win in a fight, Goku or Superman? It was like your brother had
Saitama.
yes, Saitama would win. Your brother had gorilla versus bear, which I'm
Fair,
like,
yes.
which is apparent. Like after we did that episode, I looked it up. That's apparently a huge argument that people have online. I didn't realize that. I'm still on Team Bear at this point now. Because
Uh,
the more I look, I'm like they would just massacre a gorilla.
yeah,
I mean,
especially after because we went to Nashville for my sister's birthday and we stopped at the zoo on the way back and they had a polar bear at the zoo and it was in a room, like it was just chilling out in a room. Um
they're massive.
yeah, like you got to walk up to this polar bear, and it was just like it was sleeping probably maybe a foot and a half away from the glass or whatever. So like I just walk up and I look at this polar bear and this thing's head is the size of my torso.
Yeah, they're freaking
Like
huge.
I mean, just his head is 2.5 feet long,
Yeah,
and I'm just going,
that would
yeah,
that would wreck
yeah,
a gorilla.
that gorilla ain't got no chance. Like,
Yeah,
no way,
yeah,
no way.
yep.
So, um, yeah, so we've done a lot of the versus episodes. Yeah, were some of my favorites, and being able to go down, like walk down some of the memory lane stuff was a lot of fun. I mean, we talked about Don Bluth films.
Yeah,
I mean, a
which
guy
which
that
for my birthday, I don't know if I told you, the wife got me a copy of Rockadoodle on Blu-ray.
aw.
I'm like I was so ecstatic when I opened that up. That was one of my personal nerd highlights. But I mean,
Aw.
even beyond Don Bluth, like if we're going memory lane here, we talked about a lot of the retro consoles, um, and now like some of the ones that are recent for us are retro apparently. I mean, we
Well, the
talked about.
PlayStation 2 is 20 years old.
Yeah, I know, dude. It's nuts.
Like we know kids that are younger than the game consoles we have sitting
We
behind us.
have kids younger than the game consoles that we have sitting behind us.
True.
Well,
That's
it's been
true.
kind of fun. One of the things I've been doing on my vacation here is, finally tidying up the garage a bit, unpacking stuff, reorganizing, getting it in more secure storage totes instead of cardboard boxes. And I have found so many old NES games, Super Nintendo games, N64 games. My mom actually recently asked me before I started doing this, do you have an old N64 laying around? There's a lot of games that we had for that I really liked playing. Well, so I found one of my two N64s and I said, hey, I've got one. I found a bunch of games with it. Do you want me to bring it over? And long story short, she had me order two more controllers. Um, so she has that hooked up at her house right now. She's been playing Diddy Kong Racing a lot.
Oh, that was a
It's
great
such a great
game.
game. Oh yeah. Well,
Oh
she used
man.
to. I remember when that was a new game. One of her coworkers, we would go over, like just go over and visit one, and he and I would just sit there and just play Diddy Kong Racing for hours. And like mom eventually started playing, and that became one of her favorites. So she saw that I had that, she goes, "That's the only one I'm gonna play. I just want you to know that right now." But
Yeah, I
yeah.
yeah, that one was I had like 100% unlock in that.
Hmm.
Like I had just I yeah, I owned that game. Such a fantastic
Oh yeah.
game.
I mean, and even beyond that, we talked about the '80s, like just in general. I mean, we're both kids of the '80s, so that was nice to be able to kind of go back, relive that, talk about some of our favorite things that came out of the '80s and how media in general still to this day will influence modern media. I
Right.
mean, everything's like an '80s throwback, and it's nice. Like, we had Ghostbusters, Transformers, is well, I mean, that's been a couple years back now, but I mean, Transformers, even though they're not the best films ever, people still go to theaters and watch them all the time.
Netflix has a couple of Transformers series
Yeah,
out there right now that I
very
have on my
very
queue
Gen
that
One
I need to.
inspired. Yeah,
Yeah, I need to go back and watch them. Well, I mean, it's their subtitled War for Cybertron, and
yeah.
War for Cybertron actually was a video game that came out several years ago,
Hmm?
and I loved that
Oh
game. It's
God,
so
yes,
much
yeah,
fun.
absolutely.
Like, and the sequel to it had really cool multiplayer as well. So
It
like,
did. Like, both of those were really good games. It's a shame. Like, there was another one that came out. I don't remember what it was called, but it was pretty much like the animation style in the game was like the Gen One Transformers, like cell shaded style in the game.
mhm.
But the gameplay just wasn't that great in it. Transformers Devastation, that's what it was. Um,
Mm.
like, I played it. I mean, the art style was really cool, but the gameplay was really repetitive in it. But
Oh yeah, because that was supposed to be that was like a spiritual sequel to like the War for Cybertron games or something
yeah,
like
yep.
yeah, Fall of Cybertron. That was the
It was
sequel.
Fall of Cybertron. Yeah, it was War for
It was War
Cybertron
for
and Fall of Cybertron. Yep,
Fall of Cybertron, and
yep,
then Devastation was supposed to be like the spiritual sequel, but
right. It's just,
it fell
eh,
flat.
yeah, sadly.
Um,
Um, but I mean, yeah, it's been a good year. Not only for us, but just for like nerd culture in general. Um, I mean, I think the one area, especially from 2022 on, that kind of suffered were tabletop games. Just because for the longest
mm,
time people weren't getting together. But I mean, video games and online games saw a huge boom this year. And I was actually reading an article earlier today that the way everything's going, that they're actually expecting the big video game boom of 2020 and 2021 to kind of start fading out next year because everybody was home last year. And a lot of people were still staying home this year. Now that people are starting to get out more, things are, God's willing, starting to return to some state of normalcy slowly. They're expecting that next year, maybe the year that you'll start seeing games kind of declining again, at least sales wise.
well, I think there's a couple of things that could be said there, and we don't have to dwell. We
Yeah.
can save this for a future
Hmm.
episode. But I think where people are going is towards those subscription services.
Yeah.
Xbox Game Pass has probably been one of the
Yeah.
smartest decisions that Microsoft has ever done.
Yeah.
Combine that with xCloud, Microsoft's cloud gaming platform, and if
Hmm.
you have internet that doesn't suck, which Tim does now.
Yes, I was gonna say because I think you and I talked about that on our Xbox episode, or one of our game episodes, where I didn't really see the value in the cloud gaming. Now that I have gig fiber, I've actually, like, there's been a bunch of games that I've tried using the cloud gaming. Try it out. Like, granted, it still only takes me a handful of minutes to download a full game, but I can do the cloud gaming, see if I even bother to like the game. And if it's one that I see, like Halo, I originally did that on cloud streaming, and it worked phenomenally well. And I'm like, you know what? This is one that I wouldn't mind having it downloaded just so I get the game perfectly as intended instead of 98% as intended. Because you do, I mean, with the internet, you still, even on gig fiber, you do still have a little bit of stuttering, a little bit of artifacting in the image, but it wasn't enough to deter me to not do that. So that's typically
Mhm.
what I do. If it's a game that I'm going to play a lot, I'll download it. If it's one that I'll occasionally play, I'll just save the hard drive space and do the cloud streaming. It works really good. So I'm a fan of it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's where we're probably going to start seeing more of going in that direction, especially as I think you'd mentioned it maybe in a previous episode, is Sony's working on their own,
Yeah, that's word
Game
on the
Pass
rumor mill.
style.
Yep.
The word on the rumor mill is that Sony's working on their Game Pass competitor, because I mean, yeah, PS5 sales have outdone Xbox sales, but man, you got to say something about Xbox. They got their library
Yeah.
and their reach is massive,
Yep.
especially with Game Pass.
Yeah.
So
I mean, right now on the
and their
PS5, you just, oh,
the
good.
embedded PC. I mean, obviously having Game Pass embedded into PC as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Like,
And having that
yeah,
that's included in your subscription, so it's not like you have to pay extra to get it on PC. It's just it's included. So I
right.
mean, there
And
have
with
been
their
quite a
cross save
yeah.
capability, like
Yep.
I can play Halo on my Xbox downstairs, my Xbox in my bedroom, or my PC,
Yep.
all the same save.
Yeah.
So cloud gaming and cloud access and those subscription services. I think is really where we're going to start seeing it
Oh
go,
yeah.
because that's really where we've seen media consumption in itself go.
Yeah.
I
Everything's
mean,
all digital.
right, everything's all digital. Like you can rent movies in theaters day one on Amazon.
Yep.
HBO is putting out Warner Media
Yeah.
is is putting out their movies same day in theaters and on HBO Max.
Which actually, on that topic, I know we had talked about the in a prior episode. Warner Brothers was like dropping that. They've since revised it and said that they are still going to continue doing that, but it's a 45-day window. So they're
Yep.
gonna give those movies time to digest in the theater, but then 45 days later to the date, you will be able to watch it immediately on HBO Max. Starting with the Batman, which that's something to look forward to in my opinion. I'm from what they've shown off on it, it looks interesting.
Right. And again, I mean, I think I've said it before, Robert Pattinson is actually a decent actor. Please everybody forget the Twilight movies, like it was a paycheck. Like
Yeah.
the kid needed to eat.
After his one Harry Potter movie, he needed money. He needed new shoes, like Dennis Hopper's son.
Right, exactly. So, but anyway, so yeah, a lot of good content, a lot of stuff. But I think we're ready to wrap up the year.
Yeah,
It's been a high and low. It's been a roller coaster, man.
it's yeah.
Like,
This year, yeah, has definitely been one. Not as bad
right,
as
like
2020, I don't think, but it's still
right. So
up there.
I mean, it's like obviously COVID is still a thing. It's
Yeah.
still going around kicking people's butts. My
Yep.
sister just got COVID for the second time.
Yeah.
And I was around her for Christmas, so of course, like she calls me Monday night, and I'm sitting here going, "God damn it!" So I had to go out and find try to find rapid tests and whatnot, and then I got, I got a nose swab yesterday, so I'm waiting. My rapid test came back negative, so I've been
Good.
going 2 years now without catching this damn thing, and I'm
Good.
really trying hard not to get it.
Yeah. Well, you've
So
got the benefit of work from home.
I do.
It's. I mean, I work close to home. Does that count?
You have the benefit of working with idiots.
Well, I have the benefit of luckily being like the only person in my area at any given time, so that's been nice. That's been nice. It's typically
Right.
me by myself, so
Right.
that's been pretty nice. But
Yeah, so
yeah,
obviously we're still, still kind of battling, excuse me, still kind of battling this thing and working at it, but I think 2022 hopefully we'll have a lot more I really hope that we get a better year, cuz
yeah,
I can't do 3 in a row, man.
yeah.
I can't
Maybe
do.
we'll be able to actually go to some cons this year.
Yeah, no joke. Like
Live
like
stream from a con. If we can go, let's live stream from the con. At least at least
exactly.
a little bit. Yep.
Yeah, I got a little digital camera, like a little digital video camera that I can bring with. We can hook
Yeah.
up, hotspot and stream.
There we go.
Um, so yeah, but 2022, I think is going to be hopefully will be a good year. We're going to see some comebacks, and hopefully, we're going to have a lot of good stuff that comes out in this
Oh
year.
yeah.
We talked about a little bit about some of what's to come.
Let's see.
We've got the Batman,
I say
we've got
movie
games.
wise.
Yeah.
What's the thing you're looking forward to the most next year?
Admittedly, man, I can't
Okay.
really tell you
Okay.
because I'm so kinda behind, like, I
Right.
figure out when stuff's coming out, like, the week that it's coming out, unless it's, like, a major Marvel property,
Or Ghostbusters, and
but
I bother you 2 months in advance. Come down and see it with me, or
you've been
else.
bothering me, like, 2 years in
I really
advance.
have, and like I was so ecstatic when they announced it was coming out like right after my birthday. I'm like, Ian, birthday present. Come see Ghostbusters with me. Then we got you and our good friend Kevin, which you two haven't hung out in years before
Years?
that point. And then Kevin had a
Well, I mean,
disappointment burger.
admittedly, he had been working at Death Factory,
Yeah, 7 days a
for
week,
several
13
years.
hours a day. So
Right, for several years,
yeah,
so
yeah,
it's not like he had the time to hang out
that's very
either.
true. That's very true.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard for me to say what I would be looking forward to the
All
most
right.
in 2022 as far as like movie properties go. I know there's a lot of stuff that's coming
Yeah,
out.
there is.
So
Okay, all
yeah.
right. We got lots of stuff to look forward to. Is what it boils down to. It's 2022. Let's. I don't want to jinx it, but let's hope it's a good year.
Yeah. I mean, well, there's not. I mean, nothing you can do about it. We'll take it however we can get it.
Pretty
But we're
much.
at least hoping that it's going to be good.
We're gonna hope
Please,
anyway.
please let it be good.
No
I
more.
can't do it anymore. Oh god.
Here's hoping though.
Well, on that depressing note, um, yeah. So, um, I think that'll probably about do it for us tonight, unless you can think of anything else to rant and rave about.
No, not tonight anyway. I mean, I got plenty of stuff we can rant and rave about, but it's way off
Oh,
topic.
sure. Yeah, absolutely. So, yes, 2022 will be a pretty good year. Looking forward to a lot of the stuff that's coming out. And again, thank you everyone for
Yes,
joining us this
yes.
year. We appreciate it. Obviously, as we joked about at the very beginning of this, we don't make any money off of this. We're
Nope.
doing it just for the fun of it.
Oh yeah.
So, we appreciate you guys being there and just enjoying the ride with us because it's been a fun ride for all of us,
Oh
I
yeah.
think.
That it
So,
has.
yeah. So we look forward to next year, where we will bring out much more content, and we will also give a big shout out to our boy, and hail to the douche episode.
I was
Uh,
waiting on you to say his name. My fingers like hovering over the button.
no, I'm not going to say he who shall not be named as of this time because I'm going to wind up jinxing it, and
Yep.
then yeah. So plenty to look forward to next
Oh yeah.
year, and we're eagerly looking forward to putting out more content as well.
Oh yeah.
So
It's gonna be a good year, Ian. It's gonna be a good year.
yeah, I hope so.
Me too. Me too.
Alrighty, well, I think that will about do it for us tonight, folks. So again, thank you all for joining us. We appreciate you all, and look forward to next year. We all hope that you have a fantastic holiday and had a fantastic New Year, depending on when you listen to this. Um, As always, thank you to our hosting platforms, especially Anchor.fm, which feeds out to all of our podcast hosting, other podcast consumption sites, sorry, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, several other platforms. Obviously, you can find us on YouTube, youtube.com/non sequitur nerds, Twitter at non sequitur nerd, facebook.com/non sequitur nerds. Those are our primary platforms. And it looks like Anchor may have updated their logo. Looks like Anchor by Spotify now. I don't remember seeing that
Oh.
before.
All right. I
So
wasn't aware of that.
yeah, I wasn't aware of that either. So thank you, Anchor and Spotify. Maybe we'll actually start shilling for you in the future.
There we go.
So I think that was all of them.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was my shtick. So
I figured it's been a year, Ian. You should have it memorized by now.
I really should. It's just like a giant list of stuff that I have plastered behind my computer screen. But yeah. So anyway, have a happy new year, everyone, and we will see you next year. So as always, thank you for joining us. And for non sequitur nerds, I am Ian, and that is
I'm Tim. Good night, everybody.
yes, he is. Good night.